Hi guys, welcome back to Future Ready Freight. My name is Sarah Williams. I'm the marketing manager here at Mariner, and today I'm joined with Jack Regan. Jack Regan is our digital freight specialist, and before we get started, why don't you tell everyone what it is that you do on a daily basis?
Sure. A digital freight specialist is basically using our technology solutions to have better freight matching protocols for our carrier base, while at the same time being able to fill capacity gaps we might have along the way.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So that means in your position that you get to see like a lot of both shippers and carrier side, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, and I know that you wanted to talk about technology, so why don't we start with like what technology changes you've seen in like the course of your role on both the shipper and the carrier side?
So I feel as though 3PLs are always going to be like at the cutting edge of technology usage.
Okay.
There's still quite a few shippers and carriers who are on that pencil clipboard protocol. They're still doing that. It's a little irritating, but it happens quite a bit. You always run into those companies have dozens of trucks, but they don't know how to use Outlook. Very interesting.
So, well, Outlook isn't that. I mean, we won't get into it.
But you know, it's just something to where the technology usage in the industry has always been behind. Mm-hmm. But you know, maybe later in the interview we can talk about it's been increasing. It's getting better. It's been innovating. It's been pushing forward in a big way, especially over the past few years.
Okay, you said that that's like on the 3PL side, not so much on the shipper side, right?
3PL side has always been on the cutting edge, I feel like.
Okay.
It's always been the ones who are putting the most money, the most investment.
But what are shippers being dependent on more and more in the industry?
They're being dependent on a lot of our resources. So lately, more now than ever, especially in a down market, mm-hmm. there are shippers that are really persistent about tracking. There are shippers that are really persistent about, frankly, technology use. It's very weird to see, but it's happening more and more. Okay,
that's interesting because I read the 34th annual logistics something or other report from CSCMP, mm-hmm. and they said that like 96%, I think, fact check me on this, of shippers, no, 96% of carriers are like fully cloud-based. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of 3PLs out there.
Oh yeah.
Okay, fine. All right, I'll buy it. And then I think it was like 86% of shippers were like cloud-based.
That lines
so
up.
It makes sense that like they're all very dependent on what their 3PLs are offering.
Well, yeah, it's almost like we're like the outsourced technology for them. We're the outsourced carrier procurement, which is what a 3PL is.
Right.
But yeah, that 86% of shippers, you know, they're 10% behind us. That makes a lot of sense. Like I said, pencil clipboard. That's
well, I'm surprised
about.
That it's not more than by like the way that you've been talking about it.
Shippers are always going to be a little hair behind us.
Okay, but not like a ton behind, just like one step.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like the supply chain industry is like a really weird thing, and it's a very common joke. You know, you can sit here, you can talk to Scott, you can talk to anybody here at the company. They'll tell you about how, especially in asset-based companies, the technology it's run by guys who have been in the industry for like 40 years.
Yeah.
A lot of these old mom and pop trucking companies, man.
Yeah.
And it's
whereas younger companies, like they have younger people nimble. And they've got like some built-in information on like how to use technology as well. So it's just easier to like kind of update.
Not just that too, but there's a lot of these older trucking companies that feel like they've been doing it right for so long. So
yeah, why change it?
Why change? You know, why change something that ain't broke? And that's the way they see it.
Yeah.
But very clear, post 2020, it's broke.
Yeah. And so so post 2020, let's talk about that. Because during the pandemic, there was a lot of money like coming into the industry from different investors. Mm-hmm. And for the last year, we've been in a down market. So we haven't seen as much investor money. How do you think that's going to impact like technological advancements going into 2024 and beyond?
You know, it's kind of strange because it's like what I just said, where shippers are now requiring additional tracking, are now requiring additional communication. It's like there's a lack of investment at the current moment, but at the same time they are forcing utilization of the technology that's already here. So it's like in the down market, they're pulling the technology into their manifold and utilizing it. And then, sure enough, once we get out of this slump, we're probably going to start pushing more towards different solutions. There's going to be another down market. They're going to incorporate those solutions. It's big twists and turns.
Okay, cool. So what do you expect to see in, like, after we get over this hump and we start seeing, like, more technology being released? Like, what do you think it's going to be?
Ooh, I think it's going to be a lot more online marketplace freight matching. I think
Okay.
that there's a lot of public news about companies like Convoy having issues.
Yeah.
I think that once the down market's over, companies like that are going to be very successful.
Okay.
Down
So
market, not good for them,
no.
obviously.
So maybe Q2, Q3 of next year we'll start
I
seeing
think
some
that
new
those
stuff.
kinds of companies are going to be doing great. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that that's probably going to be the future of the kinds of tools shippers utilize.
Yeah. Okay, I got a little sidetracked. I want to go back a little second. What technology are shippers relying on their carriers for? Because we were talking about how shippers are not investing in their own technology; they're investing in their carriers who have their own technology.
Yeah, a lot of shippers, like, they're just looking for OTP, OTD. They're just looking for on-time pick. They're just looking for tracking. Whenever it comes to, a lot of additional technology solutions, like I said, they can get away with using the clipboard and pencil.
Yeah.
They can get away with that. They still can. And
Do you
they're not
think
really
that that's
demanding
the
that
right?
much.
Do you think that that's the right approach?
No.
Okay, so why don't you tell us what the right approach would be?
For a shipper,
Yeah.
I used to work in a warehouse
Okay.
before I worked here. There's like a little bit of a resurgence, I guess not a resurgence, but there's a move towards putting technology in the hands of employees and shippers. And there are still, these are cutting edge, like if you go to like an Amazon facility, if you go to a Home Depot
They're
warehouse,
Amazon.
they're very technological. Yeah. That's where they should be moving. It's way more efficient, it's way more cost effective, but there's a lot of these little shippers and receivers that aren't necessarily there yet because they don't have the capital for it.
Yeah.
And they're just relying on a 5-man crew working, 4-hour shifts.
Well, and
loading,
that's a
unloading
lot
trucks.
of what our customer base is because we target small to mid-sized shippers.
And you're
So,
going to
like,
see that technology slowly filter down to those guys over time.
Yeah.
Slowly. Yeah.
So like, is that part of like our job to start like educating our shippers of like, these are the resources that you could be using that are like within like what we assume would be your budget?
Well,
Or
within
it's just our job to like have those technologies and give them to them?
no, we wouldn't give them like, efficiency measures within their facility. We would be
Right.
giving them measures for what we specialize in, which is freight matching, using our carrier partners, filling in the gaps where they want to make sure that they can operate with efficiency and cost effectiveness for their logistics network.
I mean, do you think shippers should be worried about their carrier base right now and like their carriers going under?
Yeah, there's a very interesting thing that happens with the economy where you can directly track the rate of carrier bankruptcies with the swings and troughs of the overall economy. It's
Right.
like a bullwhip. You can see it's one of the most volatile, it is so easy to get into trucking and it's so easy to fail in trucking. But you will literally see a spike in bankruptcies. You can lay the graphs over each other and look at it. A spike in bankruptcies in trucking, a couple quarters later, recession. It's pretty crazy how you can see it happen. These are actually investment strategies that investment companies look at.
Yeah.
They read a lot of logistics reports. This is part of their strategy. Something interesting that we're a part of. But yeah, it is a major market indicator, and it definitely makes everyone's jobs harder the moment those bankruptcies start spiking.
Yeah.
It's a big concern.
So should shippers be worried about their carrier base? Like, how can they like fortify the carriers that like they're just like their overall network to make sure that they don't lose capacity and they don't end up with a ton of shipments that aren't going to get moved on time?
So I guess that really depends on the shipper. A lot of different.
That's always the answer. I'm so tired of that answer.
Yeah, like a lot of small town shippers, they're going to have local guys. So they're going to have guys that they can utilize, that they can go into, that they know that they can have reliable pricing with. And they're a lot of these guys know each other. They go to Thanksgiving with each other in these small towns. So they will opt to choose these carriers over someone like Mariner, over someone like a larger company, Dominion, Knight Swift. They're going to choose these smaller companies over them. But at the same time, a lot of shippers, they have stable pricing. They have negotiated pricing with these big carrier companies. So again, that's another point where it's kind of hard in a down market for a nimble company like ours to kind of groove our way in there, because they're pretty much, they have these deals set. They're comfortable with the down market. It's the moment that they start to see cracks in that carrier base, when they start to see cracks in cost, that the market kind of swings in our favor.
Yeah.
And we talked about how that's probably going to happen here soon.
Fingers crossed. You were saying that, shippers have a bunch of these like, local guys running their freight and stuff, but like they're a bit at a disadvantage because they don't have someone like you who's able to like match freight for them. So like how, like at what point does that become necessary for them?
I think that's a big growth strategy for smaller shippers is utilizing a 3PL like ours because we can we have, we're not an asset-based company that's based in the Southeast. We're not based in the Midwest. We're a company that has capacity and can get capacity pretty much anywhere where we
Right,
specialize.
because we're centrally
We're all
located.
over the country,
Yeah.
So if a shipper in Wisconsin is trying to expand their operations, is trying to do something, is trying to, they have a new partnership with shipping product in a different area, they can't really depend on their local guys to do that. They can come to us.
Yeah.
And then we can fill those gaps for them. We can find that capacity for them. It's something it's literally what we're for. That's what a 3PL is for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we covered a lot of like the shipper side, but now what about like the carrier side? Because you work so closely with both of them. So like how does your role directly affect the carriers that you work with?
Yeah, a lot of the guys I come in contact are the little mom and pops,
Pen and paper.
pen and paper fellas, yeah. And so whenever I'm talking to them, they're guys who they may not necessarily have access to the freight that we can offer them. So in the exact same way shippers are going to utilize us for filling in gaps in their capacity, the carriers are going to utilize us for filling in gaps in their 2-week run that they're trying to get going. Even if some of these smaller carriers, a load falls off on them. These guys plan out a week or two on their runs. They can immediately come to us. These carriers that we've been working with for a long time, they can come to us and they can say, hey, we had a fall off here. There was some shenanigans at this shipper. We got held up too long at this receiver. That they wouldn't offload us, whatever. And they can come to us and we can use our solutions to get them going, to make sure that they don't have to cancel 5 loads down the line.
Right.
Help their business genuinely. It's like what I was saying earlier in regards to, the freight market being very susceptible to bankruptcies and down markets. That's because there's very low barrier to entries to get into trucking in the United States in particular. And basically it's like, because there's so many bankruptcies, it's not Knight Swift going bankrupt. It's not Dominion going bankrupt.
I mean, Yellow went bankrupt. I thought Yellow was a big company.
They are a very big company. They were all kind of on their last legs though.
Yeah. And was Convoy did they go bankrupt or did they just like dissolve?
I don't think that they put out news for bankruptcy. They halted I haven't read up on it recently, but they halted their operations. They halted their load board, I think is what they said on FreightWaves.
Yeah. And I remember on the floor when that happened. It was a wild day.
Oh yeah, we were just like, that's a lot of freight on the board now, boys.
Yeah. Let's go after it.
Yeah, what is it, like 10,000 loads a day they said it was? It was a lot.
Yeah.
That's a big little surge to go that trickles down to little companies.
Yeah. Thanks for going down all these different little rabbit holes with me. I appreciate it. I had a good time. This has been Future Ready Freight with Jack Regan and Sarah Williams, and we'll see you next time. Be safe.